All right, final video. Woo, final video. All right, so these look kind of scary. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of things going on. We haven't actually seen something like this, but I want to see if you guys can do it. So there's a couple of different ways that you guys can handle this. One, you can take the left and then take the right and then put them together if you want to deal with small numbers. All right, so we can do 2 goes into 3. That doesn't simplify. I can put my x's and I can subtract those, and then I can subtract my y's and then I can put them together, or I can add the numbers up and then divide them at the end. Kind of like the idea of adding them up together and then dividing them at the end. So I'm actually going to do them both. So we're going to add them up the way I think, or at least the way I would do it. I'm going to group like we did before. 2 times 9. So my 9 and my 2. My x's go together. So I have x squared and x. What exponent do I have? I don't have any. So I'm going to add that 1. And I have my y with that invisible 1 and y squared. On the bottom, I'm going to have 3x y to the 4th. Just putting it all together. I'm going to go to a different color just so that you guys see the next step, because we are moving this way versus that way. So 2 times 9 gives me 18. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. All right. I have my x. What do I do with my exponents? I'm going to add them up. So 2 plus 1 gives me a 3. Do my y, I add those guys up. 1 plus 2 also gives me a 3. Do I have to add anything or anything like that on the bottom? 3xy, nothing in common. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Other than the fact that I'm going to add that 1 for your x and y to the 4th. 3 does go into 18. 3 goes into 18 how many times? Lucy? Lucy, how many times does 3 go into 18? What? 6. All right. 6. I'm going to have x. When I have them up and down from each other, I'm going to subtract. 3 minus 1. And I'm going to do the same thing for my y. Y. 3 minus 4. I can now simplify it. So, the 6 stays the same. Nothing happens with that guy. 3 minus 1 gives me 2. 3 minus 4. 4 is bigger, so we're going to subtract. 4 minus 3 gives me a 1. And because the 4 is bigger, it is going to be a negative 1. I do have that negative, so I'm going to bring that guy down. So my final answer should be 6x squared. With the y on the bottom, I could put that 1, or I can just leave it as the y by itself. So my answer would be that. So a lot of, well, it looks like a lot because I'm drawing them bigger. But 6x squared to the y. So pause if you want before I erase it and do it the other way. Pause, pause, pause. All right. Wow, that eraser sucks. So this is the other way you can do it. So instead of having to group them all together, I can simplify it this way first. So 2 over 3, I can't do anything with that. It stays as 2 over 3. My x's, I would do x 2 minus 1. All right? And my y kind of stays up on the top. 2 minus 1 though gives me what? 2 over 3. 2 minus 1 gives me a 1. I'm going to have a 1 for my x and a 1 for my y. Let's do the next section. 9, there's no other number there. I'm going to have x to the 1 because I don't have any other x's. And I'm going to have y 2 minus 4. Well, I keep my 9. I keep my x to the 1. And I'm going to have y to the negative 2. All right, so far? So now, it's kind of like what we did before. We have to still end up adding them all together. This is the reason why I like the other way of doing it versus this way of doing it. So, group them up again. 2 times 9. X, 1 plus 1. Y, 1 plus a negative 2. And all that is under my lonely 3. It's so lonely. All right. So I get 18 over 3 x squared and y negative 2 minus, or 2 minus 1 is negative 1. And I think you can finally see this part. All right, and then you can see that I have a 9x squared with a y on the bottom. So it's the exact same answer as I had before. I personally like the other way because we end up doing kind of the same thing at the end anyways. So I feel like it has less steps if you do it the way I showed you first versus this way. All right, last question. So pause if you guys want to copy this one. You didn't have to, but if you wanted to, you could. And it's erasing. No, miss, I didn't pause it. Oh, well, you should have. All right. So, I see an exponent on the outside. That means I have to distribute. So in order to distribute, every number or exponent needs to have, every number or variable needs to have an exponent. So this 7 needs to have a 1. This 3 also needs to have a 1. So I can distribute 2 times this 7 gives me 7. 1 times 2 gives me a 2. 2 times negative 2, I have A. I have a negative 4. 4 times 2, I have B to the 8 over 1 times 2, I have 3 squared. So let's double check and make sure I did my math right. 2 and 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is negative 4. 2 times 4 is 8. Yes. All right. And then close my parentheses. Now, do I have any common bases? I'm going to have to deal with these numbers, but when I look at my variables, I don't. So let's multiply our numbers out. So 7 squared means 7 times 7. So I have 49. 3 squared means 3 times 3 over 9. A to the negative 4. It's negative. So what does that mean? Anybody? Yes, I move it down. So I'm going to have A to the 4th. This B is positive, so it stays on the top. B to the 8th. 49 and 9. Is there any number that they have in common? No. So this will actually be my final answer. That one wasn't that bad. It looked worse than it actually was. All right. So at this point, you guys should be able to start on 7-5. If you guys do have any questions, make sure to watch your videos first. And if you've watched this one, you probably have watched all of the other ones. I do have more examples on the PowerPoint. So if you do need a couple of extra problems, I do have the more difficult ones on the PowerPoint. All right? So if you have any questions, just let me know.